If you live in California and still believe your paycheck can save you, wake up, because as of 2025, 68% of full-time workers in California live paycheck to paycheck, according to the Public Policy Institute of California. That includes people earning six figures. And no, it's not because they splurge on avocado toast or Netflix. It's because the system is rigged to bleed you dry while pretending you're thriving. Rents are up over 21% since 2020, but wages barely moved. Gas, still over $5.80 a gallon in most cities. A gallon of milk costs $5.49 and a modest one-bedroom, over $2,500 a month in LA. Every dollar you earn is gone before you touch it, devoured by taxes, housing, insurance, food, debt, and the fantasy of security. You work harder, longer, faster, but fall further behind. And maybe, just maybe, it's not your fault. Maybe it's a system that profits off your exhaustion. So today we're breaking it all down, not with feel-good slogans, but with cold, brutal truth. Why can't Californians survive on their paychecks in 2025? Let's count it down, one ugly reason at a time, because the real cost of living here is your future. Number 10. The shrinking grocery bag phenomenon. Your grocery bag is getting smaller, and your bill is getting bigger. You're not imagining it. It's not in your head. The shrink is real, and it's bleeding Californians dry in 2025. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, food prices across the western U.S. are up 21% since 2021. But in California, certain staples like eggs, fresh vegetables, and dairy have skyrocketed over 35%. But here's the kicker. That doesn't mean you're getting more. No, you're actually getting less. It's called shrinkflation, when companies quietly reduce product size instead of raising the sticker price. That bag of chips that used to be 12 ounces, now it's 9.4. The cereal box that looked full, mostly air. And the worst part? You're paying the same or more for it. Add to that the organic markup, the gas surcharge on deliveries, and the drought-driven crop shortages, and you start to realize your paycheck isn't feeding you anymore. It's barely feeding the illusion. The USDA now estimates a family of four on a moderate budget spends $1,334 per month just on groceries. And that's before you throw in allergies, special diets, or infant formula. And if you're trying to eat healthy, good luck. Fresh produce and clean protein sources are so expensive that processed junk food often becomes the default. Not because it's better, but because it's affordable. And it's quietly creating a health crisis. The link between inflation, poor nutrition, and rising chronic illness rates is no accident. California's cost of eating well has turned wellness into a luxury brand. So when people say they can't make it on their paychecks, this is part of the answer. They can't afford to be healthy anymore. Number 9. Childcare that costs more than college. Now let's get real about something every working parent in California is silently panicking over. Childcare is now more expensive than a university degree. That's not an exaggeration. According to the California Child Care Resource and Referral Network, full-time infant care in the Bay Area averages over $2,600 per month. That's over $31,000 per year per child. And yes, that's more than tuition at UC Berkeley. The American dream used to say, work hard, raise your kids, give them a better life. But how exactly are you supposed to do that when childcare alone can consume 40–60% of your take-home pay? And it's not like there are endless options. Daycares are at capacity, wait lists are months long, and in-home providers are overwhelmed. Some families have resorted to cobbling together inconsistent schedules with neighbors or grandparents just to make it through the week. But for single parents and dual-income households without support networks, it's a full-blown crisis. And don't think your job is going to help you out. Only 11% of California employers offer subsidized childcare benefits. The rest? You're on your own. And it gets worse if your child has special needs, which can double or triple the cost. The result? Parents, especially mothers, are being forced out of the workforce. California now has one of the lowest labor force participation rates for women with young children, not because they don't want to work, but because working simply doesn't pay after childcare eats their income alive. Think about that for a second. People are working full-time, only to break even, or worse, to lose money. This isn't parenting. It's financial warfare disguised as modern life. And for families trying to survive on middle-class wages, it's one of the clearest signs that California's system is broken beyond denial. Number 8. The insurance trap. no one talks about. Let me tell you about one of the most sinister forces quietly draining Californian wallets in 2025. Insurance. It's not just one type. It's all of them. Health, car, home, fire, earthquake, you name it. It's become an ecosystem of expense. Let's start with health insurance. Even if you're covered through work, your premiums, copays, and deductibles are likely up 20–30% from just a few years ago. Covered California reported a 9.6% average premium increase in 2024 alone, and it's not slowing down. Got a family plan? You're looking at over $700 a month before you even get sick. But here's where it gets crazy. Home insurance is the new panic. Due to rising wildfires and natural disaster risk, major insurers have pulled out of California entirely, leaving homeowners scrambling for coverage under state-run programs like Fair Plan, which are not only limited but can cost double the private market. And for renters, you're not off the hook either. Rental insurance rates are creeping up too, especially in cities with high crime or risk zones. Add in car insurance, which has ballooned due to rising theft and repair costs, and suddenly you're dropping thousands just to cover what-ifs. But it doesn't stop at cost. It's the unpredictability. Policies get canceled overnight. Rates spike without warning. And most people don't find out until they try to file a claim or renew coverage. The insurance system was designed to offer protection, but in California it's become a second tax, something you have to pay but can't rely on. And the emotional toll, massive. Constant anxiety, fear of fire season, the quiet dread of checking your mailbox and finding a cancellation notice, when your paycheck has to cover both survival and protection against catastrophe. Something gives, and in 2025, that something is peace of mind. Number 7. Transportation, a daily financial ambush. Think about this. You work hard all week, just to burn hundreds of dollars trying to get there and back. That's the transportation trap, and it's hitting Californians harder than ever. In 2025, commuting is no longer a routine. It's a financial ambush. Let's start with gas. California leads the nation, again, with average prices around $5.80 per gallon. In some counties, over $6. That means filling up a modest sedan now costs $90–100 per tank. Multiply that by weekly commutes, weekend errands, and school drop-offs, and you're losing up to $500 per month just in fuel. And if you're thinking, I'll just go electric, not so fast. The average EV in California still runs $40,000 or $60,000 new, and used prices have gone up due to demand and supply chain lags. Then there's charging infrastructure, still spotty, still inconsistent, and if you rent, good luck finding a charger. Public transit, that's supposed to be the solution, right? Except most systems are underfunded, overburdened, and unreliable. BART and LA Metro continue to suffer delays, safety concerns, and reduced coverage in lower-income areas. If you work outside a major metro hub, transit isn't even an option. And let's not forget maintenance, because if you own a car, repair costs have surged 33% in the last 3 years. Tires, brakes, batteries, all inflated by supply issues and labor shortages. The average repair bill? Over $500, and that's on the low end. Californians are essentially being punished for needing to move. Whether it's commuting to work, taking your kids to school, or just going grocery shopping, transportation has become a financial toll road. You pay every time you turn the key. In a state this big, mobility should equal opportunity. But in 2025, it's just another monthly crisis you can't opt out of. Number 6. Healthcare that heals your body but breaks your bank. Let's not sugarcoat it. California's healthcare system is becoming a luxury product. And for millions of working families, it's the cruelest trade-off of all. Do you protect your health or preserve your bank account? In 2025, most people can't do both. The illusion is that we have access, that with insurance, you're safe. But the reality, the average Californian with employer-sponsored health insurance now faces over $7,000 in out-of-pocket costs per year before hitting their deductible. And that's if you're healthy. One urgent care visit with a couple of scans and basic labs can run $900+ even if you're insured. A simple ambulance ride? Over $2,000. And if you need ongoing treatment, chronic illness, surgery, mental health, you better have savings or start a GoFundMe. This isn't just about emergencies anymore. Even basic care is breaking budgets. Prescription drug prices have jumped 31% since 2020, with insulin, heart medication, and antidepressants leading the spike. And here's something most people don't know. Many employer health plans in California now offer narrow networks, meaning your coverage doesn't include top specialists or hospitals. You pay into the system, then find out it doesn't cover what you actually need. Mental health? Forget it. Wait times for therapy through insurance have ballooned to 6-10 weeks, and private sessions average $180–300 hour. This healthcare stress is its own epidemic. People are skipping checkups, ignoring warning signs, delaying surgeries, all because they can't afford to get better. And the worst part, one medical emergency can destroy years of savings in a weekend. Medical debt is now the #1 cause of bankruptcy in California, and it's hitting middle-income earners the hardest. You can do everything right. Work 40+ hours a week and still be one accident away from losing it all. In the Golden State, survival isn't just about health anymore. It's about being rich enough to afford to stay alive. Number 5. Utilities that penalize you for living. You think you're budgeting smart until your utility bill shows up and blows a crater in your paycheck. In California, utilities don't just provide essential services anymore. They function like a second rent payment. You're not just paying to keep the lights on. You're funding a system that punishes you for existing. Let's break it down. In 2025, the average monthly utility bill in California, electricity, water, gas, trash, is nearing $500 in urban zones and up to $650 in hotter inland regions where AC isn't optional. That's more than double what it was just a decade ago. And it's not because you're wasteful. It's because rates are inflated by wildfire mitigation fees, drought surcharges, clean energy mandates, and deferred infrastructure costs. Charges you didn't ask for, but can't avoid. Take PG&E. After multiple fire-related lawsuits and bankruptcy filings, they've passed the cost to, you guessed it, the ratepayers. And if you're in Southern California Edison territory, same story. Prices have climbed over 38% since 2021. Meanwhile, water rates have surged due to historic drought conditions and conservation penalties. That's right. You can be fined or overcharged for using too much water and for using too little depending on the district. And if you rent, good luck managing any of it. Landlords pass on these costs with utility fees, often with zero transparency. But here's the part no one talks about. California is shifting toward income-based utility pricing. Sounds fair, right? But in reality, it penalizes middle-income earners by charging them more simply for earning slightly above poverty levels. You're punished for not being poor enough. And even when you try to go green, solar panels, energy-efficient appliances, you face connection fees, net metering penalties, and reduced rebates. The message is clear. Conserve all you want, but you're still going to pay. And the mental toll. Waking up dreading the mailbox or watching the thermostat like a hawk, wondering if you can afford to run your dishwasher. This isn't environmentalism. It's economic warfare disguised as sustainability. Number 4. Safety that comes with a price tag. Let's talk about something people whisper about but rarely say out loud. Safety in California is no longer a right. It's a privilege. And if you want to live somewhere where your kids can walk to school without fear, or where your car won't get broken into overnight, you better pay for it. Because in 2025, safety has a price tag. And it's one of the fastest growing expenses for working families. In cities like Oakland, San Francisco, and parts of Los Angeles, property crime has surged to levels not seen since the early 2000s. According to California DOJ data, car theft is up 18%, home invasions up 11%, and retail thefts are crippling small businesses. Now, imagine living paycheck to paycheck and realizing that if you can't afford a safe zip code, you're basically paying to survive in fear. Affordable housing tends to be concentrated in high crime zones, where local police departments are stretched thin and response times can stretch past 45 minutes. Want better security? That'll cost you. Gated communities, monitored alarm systems, private patrols, video doorbells, all expensive. But for many Californians, they feel mandatory. Families are now spending hundreds per month on surveillance subscriptions, security deposits, reinforced doors, insurance riders, all just to feel marginally safe. It's not just home safety either. Schools in lower-income neighborhoods are facing budget cuts, teacher shortages, and increased violence. pushing parents to enroll in private or charter options, another few thousand a year they didn't plan for. The result? A brutal choice. Stay where it's cheap and risk your safety, or stretch yourself financially and pray you can keep up. Safety has become a commodity, and like all commodities in California, it's getting more expensive by the day. If you can't afford to feel safe, you don't get to be safe. And that's the final insult for people who already give everything just to get by. Number 3. The employer mirage. Raises that disappear into thin air. Let's rip off the mask. You've heard the news. Wages are going up. Employers say they're offering more than ever. But if you live in California, you already know the truth. Your paycheck might be bigger on paper, but it buys less than ever before. The California Employment Development Department reports that median wages have risen about 4.2% in the past year. But inflation in core essentials, housing, energy, insurance, and food, is up 8.1% in the same period. That means your raise is actually a pay cut in disguise. Here's the ugly math. If you got a 5% raise but your rent just jumped 12%, you didn't gain ground. You lost it. And employers know this. They waive bonuses, offer small increases, and roll out mental wellness days as a distraction from the fact that they're not keeping up with the real cost of living. Meanwhile, productivity is at an all-time high. California workers are generating more value per hour than ever before. But where's that value going? Into record-breaking profits for the top 1%, not into your wallet. Even worse, employers now structure jobs with just enough pay to keep you from quitting, but never enough to actually move ahead. They replace raises with perks, pizza parties, Slack emojis, flexible hours. But here's what they don't tell you. Flexibility means they've shifted the cost of overhead to you. Your Wi-Fi, your electricity, your unpaid labor. The work-from-home revolution sounds empowering until you realize it's just cost-cutting with a motivational poster. This is the employer mirage, a system that looks like it's improving but keeps you on the same treadmill, running harder just to stay in place. California doesn't just have a wage problem, it has a value extraction problem. Workers create more, but see less. And every raise that doesn't beat inflation is just another way the system pretends it's helping, while it quietly bleeds you dry. Number 2. The inheritance trap. Wealth that never transfers. You want to know one of the most quietly devastating reasons people can't get ahead in California? They're starting at zero and staying there. Because unless you're born into property, wealth, or connections, the latter is gone before you even take your first step. This is the inheritance trap. And in 2025, it's bigger than ever. Let's break it down. Home ownership, the cornerstone of generational wealth, is now out of reach for millions of Californians under 40. A median home in Los Angeles, $860,000. In San Francisco, well over $1.3 million. Even with decent credit and a dual income, you're still looking at a down payment of $120,000, $250,000. Where is that supposed to come from? For many, it doesn't. And that's where the trap closes, because here's the truth. Those who do own property now largely inherited it or got help from family. A 2023 Zillow report showed that 56% of millennial homebuyers in California received financial gifts or inheritances to afford their first property. That means over half weren't building wealth. They were transferring it. And everyone else? They're stuck renting forever, watching home values rise while they stay locked out. This extends to education too. Without generational support, many Californians enter adulthood with crippling student debt, which delays savings, marriage, kids, and, home ownership. And here's the part no one wants to admit. The economy now rewards inherited wealth, not earned income. Tax codes, property laws, estate loopholes, all designed to preserve wealth at the top, not build it from below. So when people say, just work harder, it's laughable. You can't work your way out of a trap that was built to reward someone else's starting line. In California, the biggest financial predictor of success isn't ambition or intelligence. It's who your parents are. And for those who started with nothing, they're still running in place while someone else cashes in on land they didn't earn. That's not just inequality. That's systemic financial inertia. And it's why so many never escape. Number 1. The disappearing middle class, the heart of California's collapse. This is it. The core. the beating heart of why Californians can't survive on their paychecks anymore. The middle class isn't shrinking. It's being systematically erased. What used to be the strong spine of the state, teachers, nurses, construction workers, first responders, small business owners, is now a demographic on life support. And the collapse isn't coming. It already happened. Let's put the data on the table. In 2023, the Public Policy Institute of California reported that over 62% of Californians identified as living either paycheck to paycheck or below the poverty line. By 2025, that number is edging towards 68%. In counties like Los Angeles, Orange, Alameda, and Santa Clara, a family earning $100,000 is officially classified as low income. Wrap your head around that. A six-figure salary used to mean upper middle-class comfort. Today, it barely qualifies you to survive. What does this mean on the ground? It means that the lifestyle your parents built on a single income, home, car, vacation, college fund, is now completely unattainable without inherited wealth, extreme frugality, or debt. It means people with graduate degrees are renting rooms. It means 40-year-olds with kids are still living with their parents. It means one car repair, one missed paycheck, one hospital bill, and it's all gone. You drop into poverty like falling through a trapdoor. But this isn't an accident. It's design. For decades, wages have been stagnant while the cost of everything has exploded. Housing, education, insurance, transportation, up 300–700% since 1980. Wages barely doubled. So the middle class got squeezed until it became two groups, those barely surviving and those already falling behind. This is the final betrayal. California, the state that built the American dream, has now priced that dream completely out of reach. The middle class isn't just disappearing, it's being squeezed into extinction, while the wealth gap explodes and the system smiles politely. And unless something radical changes, every paycheck will buy less, every raise will feel like a loss, and every dream will fade into survival mode. So now you've seen it. All 10 reasons, not theories, not opinions, just the raw, uncomfortable facts. California, the land of innovation, sunshine, and billion-dollar dreams, has become a place where working full-time doesn't guarantee survival, where nurses, teachers, software engineers, even small business owners are drowning in bills, debt, and fear. And the system just keeps moving, like it was designed to pretend you're the problem, instead of admitting it's the one choking the life out of you. This isn't just an economic issue, it's a moral one. Because no one should have to work 60 hours a week just to pray they make rent. No one should have to choose between their kids' daycare and their health insurance. And no one should be punished for trying to live a decent, honest life. If this story sounds like your story, you're not alone. And if you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Drop your story in the comments. Tell us what it's really like out there. Because until people speak up, nothing changes. And if this hit you hard, share it. Not just for clicks, for awareness. Because this isn't just a California problem. It's a preview of what's coming for the rest of America. If you haven't already, subscribe. This is what we do. We break the silence. We expose the cracks. And we speak for the people who can't anymore. Until next time, stay alert, stay loud, and don't let the system gaslight you into thinking poverty is your fault.